There are moments in life when everything becomes quiet, but the quiet does not feel peaceful. It feels heavy. The kind of quiet that settles around a person when the road has been long and the heart is tired. In those moments, it may seem as if nothing is moving forward. Days pass slowly. Effort continues, yet the results remain distant, almost invisible. And somewhere in the distance, they are watching, not closely, not kindly, but patiently, waiting for a moment that has not yet arrived. They believe that every person has a limit, a point where the weight becomes too much, a point where the will quietly fades. So they wait. They watch the long days. They watch the small struggles that no one speaks about. And sometimes they whisper to one another that sooner or later you will stop. Because that is what usually happens. Most people begin their journeys with energy and hope. Their steps are strong, their voices confident, their hearts full of determination. But when the road becomes uncertain, when progress slows, when the silence grows long, something inside them begins to weaken. Doubt arrives quietly, not loudly, not suddenly. It slips into the mind like a soft shadow at dusk, and then the questions begin. Is it worth continuing? Does anyone even notice? Will anything ever change? These questions do not shout. They sit gently in the corners of the mind, repeating themselves in the quiet hours. And that quiet can feel uncomfortable, because when everything around you grows still, the only thing left to hear is your own heart. They believe that this is the moment when people turn back. They have seen it before. They have seen people grow tired of trying when no one claps for them. They have seen people slowly surrender when the path ahead looks the same as the path behind. They have seen strong voices become quiet and determined steps become hesitant. And so they wait for the same story to repeat again. But what they do not understand is that silence can mean many things. Sometimes silence is not weakness. Sometimes silence is simply a person learning how to endure the weight of their own thoughts. Because when a person continues walking through quiet days, when effort continues even without recognition, something unusual begins to happen inside them. The noise of the world slowly fades. The need to prove something to others begins to soften, and a strange kind of patience begins to grow. Slowly, almost invisibly. At first, even the person themselves may not notice it. They only know that the road still feels heavy. The nights still feel long. The questions still visit from time to time. But something else is present now. A quiet decision. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just a simple choice made again and again in the silence. To keep going. Not because anyone is watching. Not because anyone is cheering. But because something deep inside refuses to disappear. They may not understand this. They may look at the calm and think the spirit is fading. They may look at the quiet and believe the struggle is almost over. But the truth is often hidden in the stillness. Because sometimes the strongest decision a person can make is the decision that no one hears. No announcement. No argument. No reaction. Just another step forward on a quiet road, while the world waits to see if you will finally stop. And in that silent moment, something important begins to reveal itself. The journey was never only about reaching the end. Sometimes it is about discovering who you become when you refuse to leave the path. As the days pass, something curious begins to happen. The more quietly you carry yourself, the more certain they become that you are fading. They look at your silence and believe it means you have nothing left to say. They watch your calm and think it must come from weakness. After all, they are used to noise. They understand anger, quick reactions, loud words, sudden decisions. But stillness confuses them. But stillness, when someone refuses to argue, refuses to explain, refuses to rush into every storm that passes by, it creates a strange feeling in those who are watching. They begin to wonder what is really happening inside you. And because they cannot see your thoughts, they begin to create their own stories. Perhaps they whisper that you are afraid. Perhaps they say you have accepted defeat. Perhaps they believe that the quiet in your voice means the fire inside you has gone out. It is easy for them to believe this. Most people react quickly when they feel pressure. When they are misunderstood, they rush to defend themselves. When they feel judged, they hurry to explain who they really are. But you remain quiet. Not because you have no answer, but because something inside you has begun to change. At first, even you may not fully understand it. There was a time when every word spoken about you felt like a weight on your chest. Every misunderstanding felt like a small wound that needed to be corrected. You may have felt the urge to respond, to prove, to protect your image in the eyes of others. But slowly, something shifts. You begin to notice how exhausting it is to chase every opinion. How endless it feels to explain yourself to those who have already decided what they want to believe. And in that realization, a quiet discipline begins to grow. It is not loud. It does not arrive all at once. It grows slowly, like the steady movement of the night sky. You begin to ask yourself a simple question. What if silence is not surrender? What if silence is strength? What if choosing not to react is not weakness, but control? These questions sit with you in the quiet hours. You watch the way others rush into conflict, eager to be heard, eager to be right. Eager to be right. Their voices grow louder. Their emotions rise quickly, and the storm of words spreads in every direction. And for a moment, you may feel the old pull inside you, the desire to step forward, the desire to say something. But then, you pause. You notice something that once escaped your attention. Not every storm deserves your voice. Not every misunderstanding deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves a place inside your heart. So you remain still, and this stillness confuses them even more. They begin to look closer, wondering why their words no longer shake you the way they once did. They expect frustration. They expect anger. They expect some sign that their judgments have reached you. But what they find instead is calm. Not perfect calm, not the calm of someone who feels nothing, but the quiet composure of someone who is learning to hold their emotions gently instead of throwing them into the wind. They do not understand this kind of strength. To them, power is loud. Power argues. Power demands attention. But the strength growing inside you is different. It does not rush. It does not seek approval. It simply observes and continues forward. And while they continue to believe your silence means weakness, something deeper is taking shape within you. A quiet confidence, a steady patience, the understanding that your worth was never meant to be measured by the noise of other voices. So you walk forward quietly, while they continue to watch and wonder without realizing it. Your silence has already begun to change the story they thought they understood. As time continues to move quietly forward, something begins to grow inside you that few people can see. It does not arrive like a sudden burst of strength. It does not announce itself with noise or pride. Instead, it forms slowly in the quiet spaces where your thoughts once felt restless. You begin to notice that the urge to explain yourself is fading. Not because the misunderstandings have disappeared. They still exist. They still pass by like distant voices carried on the wind, but their power over your heart begins to weaken. There was a time when every word spoken about you felt important. Every judgment seemed like something that needed to be corrected. The mind would turn these moments over and over, searching for the right response, the perfect explanation. But slowly, that need begins to loosen its grip. You start to see something that once remained hidden. Not every voice deserves a reply. Not every opinion deserves a place in your thoughts. And perhaps, most surprising of all, not every silence is empty. In fact, silence can become a quiet teacher. When you stop rushing to defend yourself, you begin to observe more carefully. You watch the way people move through the world. You notice how quickly some become angry, how easily others become offended, how often voices rise in the desperate attempt to be heard. And you begin to understand something simple. Noise does not always mean strength. Many loud words are spoken from places of fear. Many quick reactions are born from wounded pride. Many arguments continue long after the truth has already been forgotten. So you begin to step away from that endless circle. Not with bitterness, not with pride, just with quiet awareness. The energy that once went into defending yourself begins to settle into something steadier. Your thoughts become calmer. Your breathing becomes slower. Even the way you carry yourself begins to change. You realize that there is a strange freedom in not reacting. When you no longer feel the need to answer every judgment, a certain peace begins to open inside you. The mind grows clearer. The heart feels lighter. And in that quiet space, a deeper strength begins to form. It is the strength of patience, the strength of restraint, the strength of knowing that your path does not need the approval of every voice around you. This strength does not rush forward, demanding recognition. It does not ask others to notice it. It simply grows, quietly, day by day. Meanwhile, they continue to watch. They still try to understand what they see. Your calm unsettles them in ways they cannot easily explain. They expected frustration by now. They expected anger or exhaustion or some sign that the silence had become too heavy to carry. But instead, you seem steadier, not louder, not harder, just steadier. And this steadiness changes something in the air around you. Because when a person stops reacting to every push and pull of the world, they begin to move differently. Their steps become more certain. Their attention becomes more focused. Their energy is no longer scattered among 100 small conflicts. It becomes centered. And from that center, a quiet power begins to reveal itself. You start to understand that strength was never meant to be proven in arguments. It was never meant to be measured by how quickly you can answer those who doubt you. Real strength is quieter than that. It is the ability to hold your ground without raising your voice. It is the ability to continue walking your path, even when others misunderstand the journey. It is the calm decision to remain yourself without fighting every shadow that passes by. And in this, gentle stillness of that realization, something inside you settles into place. The road ahead no longer feels like a battle to be won. It feels like a path you are simply meant to walk, quietly, steadily, and without turning back. And then, quietly, almost without noticing the moment it happened, the struggle begins to change its shape. The same road still stretches ahead. The same voices still exist, somewhere in the distance. But something inside you has grown steady in a way that once felt impossible. There was a time when every difficult moment felt like a question, a test you were unsure you could pass. Each day seemed to ask whether you would continue, or finally turn away. But those questions have slowly faded. Not because life has become perfectly smooth. The road still carries its weight. Some days are still long. Some nights still hold silence that feels deep and thoughtful. Yet the feeling inside you is different now. The struggle no longer feels like something chasing you. It feels like something that has walked beside you long enough to become familiar. You begin to notice how far you have come, not by looking at what others say, but by feeling the quiet strength that now lives inside your chest. A strength that was not there before. It was built slowly, through days when no one noticed your effort, through moments when your silence was misunderstood, through hours when the easier path would have been to react, to argue, to abandon the calm you were trying to protect. But you did not. Step by step, without noise, you continued. And now the road feels different beneath your feet. Not lighter, but steadier. You no longer feel the need to stop and explain yourself to every passing voice. The opinions that once seemed heavy now drift by like distant echoes. They exist, but they no longer settle in your heart. This is the quiet gift that science brings. When a person walks through enough silent battles, something important becomes clear. Peace is not something that suddenly appears when the world changes. Peace is something that grows when you stop letting the world decide the condition of your heart. It grows when you stop reacting to every shadow that crosses your path. It grows when your sense of direction begins to come from within instead of from the noise around you. And in that calm understanding, a quiet confidence takes root. Not the loud kind that demands attention. Not the kind that needs to prove anything. Just a steady knowing. You know who you are becoming. You know the road you have chosen. And you know that every quiet step you took, even when it felt unseen, was shaping the person you are now. They may still look at you and wonder when you will finally grow tired. They may still believe that silence means surrender. But those thoughts no longer trouble you, because the truth has become clear in a way that words cannot fully explain. You did not keep going to prove something to them. You kept going because somewhere along the way, the journey became your teacher. It showed you the value of patience. It showed you the strength hidden inside restraint. It showed you that the deepest power a person can carry is not found in loud victories, but in quiet endurance. And now, as the night grows calm and the road continues beneath your steady steps, there is a peaceful feeling resting inside you. You are no longer chasing the end of the journey. You are simply walking it with a quiet heart. And perhaps that is the most powerful change of all, because the person who once wondered if they would stop has become the person who simply continues. Not loudly, not proudly, just calmly and without turning back.